Welcome back, everybody.
Morning, everybody.
Joe here.
Kevin.
Last week's episode was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it was.
It's probably the best episode of the season so far.
I think it was. I put it probably,
Top 10 maybe of the whole
of
series,
the run.
Iconic for sure.
Yeah, obviously that I'm glad it's kind of nice. Like, okay, they can still really, really bring it, even now that Sorkin's gone. But yeah, that episode was top notch.
Sometimes they go in runs though. Sometimes we have this episode after episode after episode of just like quality. And
For sure.
I'm wondering if this is going to be one of those episodes as well, because this one kind of splits the audience on Patreon, anyways.
Okay.
Some people are very much into this episode. Some people are very much on the fence about it.
Okay.
I like the division. I do, because personally, it kind of makes us think about it, right? Like, what's our opinion?
Right, absolutely, right.
That's been this whole season. We've been favorable. We've really liked it, obviously. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this episode shakes out.
It was a tough. The last episode's going to be a tough one to follow up, regardless. You know what I mean?
That's what I was thinking.
You're a comedian going on stage after George Carlin walks off. Let me follow that guy. And that's really what this episode has to do.
But the follow-ups have always been interesting. We had a great episode, and then how they followed up is always interesting to me. And I'm gonna be watching this with open mind, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Also, can't again give enough credit to the casting in that last one as well, with William Fichtner and Glenn Close. Yeah. My God,
powerhouse
for sure. All right, we'll go ahead and get started here, guys. But I do want to give a special shout out to all our Patreon subscribers, and I want to thank Actuarial Lurker, Balaj Foldez, Chris, Jeff, Christy Goverston, NJ, Sudhugunda Varapu, Weird Magic, Torgier Linkstad, Derek Peterson, and WerePanda47. Thanks again for being with us, guys.
Yes, and if you're watching us on YouTube for the first time, welcome to our channel. If you want to hit the like button for us, please leave us a comment down below and hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date on the new content we have coming your way.
If you would like to see a full-length reaction to this and everything else that we have watched or are currently watching, please check out the link in the description below to our Patreon page. On every show, including The West Wing, we are at least 4 episodes ahead on Patreon if we're on YouTube. So if you watch the YouTube edits and want to keep going, you can do so on our Patreon page, but you will have to sync and watch along on your own source material. You're only going to see us for copyright purposes.
Why? That's the right question. Your bread and butter, huh? Having the right questions.
Was it a documentary crew following CJ around?
Wow.
I guess I thought your concept.
Well, that was cool.
Yeah, it was.
A day in my life. But if you're secretly hoping to have lots of time with senior staff or in the Oval, you picked the wrong gal, because that's not what I do all day.
Stop moving the camera.
Yeah.
It's making me dizzy.
Yeah.
After President Bartlett, my face is the one most associated with this administration, yet for all its visibility, it's not well understood.
To answer these questions, Access spent a day with White House Press Secretary CJ Cregg.
I think her job is fascinating. I like this.
It is fascinating.
But our cameras captured a day that was anything but ordinary. In the corridors of the West Wing, Access became part of the modern media machine.
Anytime you have a one-off episode, some people are going to like it and some people are not going to like it.
I'm a fan of the one-off episodes.
Depends on the episode. Yeah, for me, honestly. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I'm like, okay, this was filler.
However, for national security purposes, the release of this documentary was prohibited until the administration left office. But in 1955, the whir of cameras leveled the playing field between the press and the administration.
Imagine working for Nixon.
Yeah.
It'd be a tough job.
Each morning, the press secretary meets with White House senior staff, the president's closest advisors.
I was wondering if, the regular cast is going to get much show in this.
In the background, probably.
There have been times where, for her own sake, in order to do her job, if she were to have information, she would be ethically bound to share it, and I don't want to put her in that position.
Yeah, she's gotten mad about being left in the dark before, yeah.
Now, we have a fraternity of former press secretaries, and we get together as like sort of a club. We all know what it's like to stand out there, taking those bullets, the shrapnel's flying.
Do you think Sarah Huckabee gets together with all the others? They're like, don't pick up the phone.
Probably.
I wrote for the paper, the student paper there, and I was writing articles basically about criticizing the administration, really. At the meeting, she actually offered me this position that opened up. Very much. All right, that's it.
That's cool. Yeah, that is cool.
And we've had a change in the schedule.
You begin every day juggling a very precise schedule.
I'm curious if any of these actors actually have worked in the White House, or if these are actors.
Othman was under investigation for arms trafficking. Our agents tracked him to his current location, where gunfire was exchanged 90 minutes ago.
They have it.
Breaking news turns the White House upside down.
The way they're doing this and editing,
Yeah,
really,
it's really well edited.
Awesome.
Yes, you have to calm down, lady.
Early in the day,
It's
before
like
the
9:46 in the
televised
morning.
briefing,
Lots of times I withhold information for valid reasons, but you can't lie. You run the risk of damaging your credibility in front of a bunch of really smart people.
what prepares a young girl born and raised in Dayton, Ohio, for a position as spokesperson for the White House and President of the United States?
Oh,
They have like old footage of Alice and Janney.
They do.
She is knowingly not doing what she needs to do to be with her father, who is elderly.
Yeah.
Big time. It's a big sacrifice.
And I think it's also the choice that her father would want her to make.
Someone just called into a radio drive time from Shaw Island, said federal agents set up a perimeter on the property adjoining his.
Was gunfire mentioned?
Yeah.
The president off the podium.
Yeah.
And I think my job really is to protect her, to help her protect the president.
23 minutes later, MSNBC carried the first live helicopter coverage
Quick,
of Shaw
aren't they?
Island.
A suspected arms trafficker.
This is going to end tragically, huh?
Oh, yeah, there will be bodies.
Yeah, we saw that at the beginning, I guess, the ambulance.
Gunfire was exchanged 2 hours ago. Federal agents have cordoned off the area, and
There's
some
a
neighbors.
misconception that I'm here to stymie reporters.
My guy's got a bed on Shaw Island, says the Osman family dog is in his office with an FBI agent's bullet in it.
CJ Craig's naivete about the power of her podium led many to question her abilities to deliver the news of the nation.
CJ, FBI rules of engagement specify that no
This is
action may be
brutal.
taken unless innocents are in imminent danger.
Though apparently some of the agents on the ground thought the rules had been suspended.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah,
CJ.
that was the
Yeah.
mistake.
No, I didn't say that.
CJ, the rules are predicated on the Constitution. Are you saying the director of the FBI suspended the Constitution?
Has he asked for an explanation of why a dog was shot by agents at the scene?
The White House is tracking this situation, but we do not interfere with ongoing law enforcement efforts.
And has learned that one of the Othman children was injured in the initial exchange of gunfire.
As tensions mounted in the West Wing, the press secretary was kept at arm's length about the negotiations and the condition of the wounded child on Shaw Island.
The media rep on Shaw screwed up. He never should have issued a statement without giving you a heads up.
Yeah.
Big time.
An explosion on Shaw Island threatens the worst for the Bartlett administration.
Oh, man.
So the FBI might just be blowing this completely.
For sure.
CJ Craig's closed door was a vivid reminder to the press corps that the press secretary was in control of their feeding time.
Better way to put it. I am here to articulate the president's message and to honestly inform the press and through them the public.
Hey, this is such a cool episode, man. Oh my gosh, it's very tense.
Yes, okay, now it appears we have the ambulance doors
Carol, as a reminder, the new SOP does specify that snipers are not to fire when children are in harm's way.
Door of the cabin is.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
we have an
FBI was
explosion
moving in
or
there
a
too.
flash of some kind.
So did the FBI blow this then?
It sounds like it. And it sounds like the FBI director's probably going to be fired by the end of this episode.
Probably.
Reporting they lost sight of the children who came out of the cabin. They may be down.
And while the airwaves were filled with conflicting reports of what had just happened on Shaw Island, the Bartlett administration quietly dropped away from the breaking news. Would further departures from standard procedure be revealed?
He might be out of a job.
Yeah. I hope your resume is updated.
Yep.
ATF officials recovered 2 cases of explosives which had been wired throughout the cabin. Mr. Othman was in control of their detonation. The standoff was initiated when Mr. Othman opened fire this morning and released an attack dog on federal agents who were attempting to serve him with an arrest warrant.
Nicely done how they did this.
Yeah, for sure.
Within a few hours, the action in the West Wing's corridors slowed to a steady hum.
Wow, this was big for the FBI.
It was big for all of us.
Over the next 9 months, 100 charges were handed down in dozens of arrests connected to the Othman conspiracy. And CJ Cregg, who allowed us to share a day with her in the West Wing, remains the only woman to have served 2 terms as the White House press secretary.
Okay. This was a really
I did
filler episode.
I did enjoy it. Yeah. Like I said, episodes bother me more so like if this was on TV and there was a big hanging storyline and then you do one, I'm like, Back when I used anyone who ever suffered through the first few seasons of The Walking Dead and then stopped in anger knows exactly what I'm talking about. And you get to a cliffhanger, and then they just pause the story for a week to drag out the intrigue in a way of just screwing with the audience.
There within The Walking Dead.
And this, the interesting about this, couple things. One, this is episode 18, right?
Yep.
Which means this was a filler pause episode. I'm expecting for the last 2, 3, 4, probably 3 or 4 episodes of the season that we're going to get into whatever the big storyline is going to be, right?
Sure.
Whatever ends the season, typically, not always, not in season 1, I don't think, but the other seasons, typically, it's a big build to whatever it is. So I feel like when we come back from this break next week, we're going to see like whatever it is we're going to set up is going to start unfolding. It's for how season 5 ends.
Yeah, well, it's going to lead into season 6 too.
Absolutely, right.
So, which I'm very excited to get to because season 6, a lot of you guys love.
Right.
Everyone says 6 and 7 are fantastic.
So yeah, it's just 6 and 7. Everyone feels like everything kind of really got back on track. There was less clunkiness, I guess.
For sure.
Which, clunky is bad, but it's not like the show completely went to crap, right?
No,
it's just there were clunky moments.
They have a new captain. It's a new show.
It's it's someone else completely taken over.
And I think they handled it very well. This season's been a ride. It's been great. We had 2 great episodes, last week in this episode. And I love this. I thought this is a really interesting way to look at CJ's job specifically and how things move in the White House. Because sometimes we get wrapped up in storylines and don't really see the big picture. This was really a really big picture of the whole thing,
Well, and also the idea of spin, right? Because they had everybody, including me, right, saying, oh, the FBI messed up.
Yeah.
The FBI's blowing this because of just the little bits of information we're getting.
Yep.
And it's like, we need to wait till we have all the context and everything. And sure enough, you get all the context. It's like, oh, wait, no, they didn't. They did everything right.
Yeah.
Everything went as well as it possibly could. But because of, we're in that, information now mode of mindset.
Yeah.
It's like you jump the gun a little bit on your assumptions.
Sure.
Instead of kind of letting it play out. And they let this play out to where it's like, oh, okay. All the, shock that everyone was looking for and all the scandal wasn't at all.
It wasn't just scandal.
But it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll catch you next one, guys.
See ya.